Hello, everyone. This is Simaya Kar. I'm chair of IEEE Turkey Women in Engineering Affinity Group, and you're now watching Empowering Women Summit 2020. And we're live again because actually this is an ongoing event from 8th of December till 17th of December. And we are always very excited to meet you in every single session. And now we have another wonderful guest, Jennifer Castillo. And actually, she is not just a Wonder Woman, a wonderful individual and leader. She is also upcoming chair of Global IEEE Women in Engineering Committee. So, and as an wonderful human being and a wonderful leader in her professional life and also in the volunteer life, I can just say that she's truly inspiring. So, that since I know Jennifer, well, I have inspired, learned, and, nourished from her knowledge and from her energy. Well, that's why, this is not just we're hosting an upcoming, well, it's not upcoming in few days only. So, our women in engineering leader here, we have a lot of things to learn and get inspired from Jennifer's energy and knowledge. So that's why I'm so happy to have Jennifer here. I would like to appreciate on behalf of Turkey Women in Engineering section, the Turkey section Women in Engineering Affinity Group. So I would like to warmly welcome Jennifer to start her presentation. Before we move forward with that, I would like to remind all the audience, so you will have an opportunity to interact with Jennifer by leaving your comments during the presentation anytime. We will be addressing your questions when we move to the Q&A section. So welcome, Jennifer. Floor is yours. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Simai. I met Simai, I want to say, in the Sections Congress in Australia. And she was everywhere and everybody loved her. And I can tell why. We have we have made a very special bond, even if in a long distance. And I appreciate that you consider me for this presentation. Thank you. So, okay, let's start this with a little introduction. Have you ever seen that there are people that cannot acknowledge the little signs in the doors when they say pull and push, and always do the other thing? So never open the door at once, but always do the opposite. If it says pull, they push, and if it says pull, they pull. Well, if you ever think about somebody that is making that or doing that somewhere in the world, pretty much that can be me. I am Jennifer Castillo, and I cannot open doors at once for some reason, strange reason. Besides that, I am the Women in Engineering upcoming chair, as Simai just mentioned. And for me, more than something to brag about, is a huge responsibility. I think we are a vibrant community, and I truly want to keep empowering and inspiring people to be part of this community. So now I'm going to share with you my screen. I think you see my screen here. And today, I'm not going to talk about women in engineering per se, but something that I've learned fairly recently, and for me was like an eye-opener situation. So I am a mechatronics engineer, and beside that, I have an MBA in international enterprises or international business. In this MBA, one of the classes was how to give high or impactful presentations. And the teacher asked me to do this presentation on diversity. And to be honest with you, before doing this presentation, I used to think that I could do everything that a man could do just because I could. And that's why we deserve to be equal and have the same opportunities, etc., etc. But after this, I came to realize that yes, we deserve the same opportunities and we deserve the same exposure opportunities and etc. But it is not because we can do the same things, but because we are diverse and we can complement each other. Maybe it is something very very evident, or for some people this may be common sense, but at some point when you feel challenged and when you want to grow in your career, is not that common or that obvious, if I may say. So today's presentation is gender difference within the team and the importance of diverse teams. And I will talk about not only this, but also what makes us different and why this is something that we cannot avoid because it is in our nature. So to begin with, I would like you to think about the teams that you belong to right now. Are they diverse? And if they are diverse, think about which are the benefits of that diversity, or does everybody have the same opportunities within the team as diverse as it is? And you can share with me your comments in the chat. I love to see the chat comments. And I was telling Simai that one of the things about the StreamYard that I like a lot is that you kind of feel like a rock star. People is doing comments, and it's really nice. So to begin with, let's talk about Mulan. I know that many people saw Mulan this year. Mulan was released during 2020, during the pandemic. And I truly love this movie. It's for so many reasons. But to begin with, she was strong, she was loyal, she was brave, she was true, which, if we think about, many others were in the army, correct? You remember that Mulan, she passed by a man to be part of the army, and in that way, her father didn't have to go and fight, correct? So when they find about, and hey, this is full of a spoiler alert, so I'm sorry. When they find about her, that she is a her and not a him, she was going to be expelled. And they accepted her because beside all of this, she actually has something that no one else had, and it was the chi. And if she was expelled just because she was a woman, then the team wouldn't have the chi in the team. So that for me was such an amazing message, because when you are excluding somebody just because it's different than you are missing their qualities as well, not only their differences. So we need to embrace them so they can be part of a team and enrich the team. So there are gender differences, and that's a fact. So there are physical and emotional factors. Of course, we're different. Men tend to be taller, men tend to be stronger. Women can be very strong, but it's not in the nature to have those characteristics. There are stereotypes related, yes, and sometimes these stereotypes become biases, and the reason why they are not integrated, or they, I mean him or her, because there are different ways to manage the diversity. So there are stereotypes related that women may be overreactive, or maybe men, they are careless, or things like that. There are differences in perception, and I love this one, because this one is something that happens daily at my home with my husband. Look at this image. This is so clear, and is how do we appreciate colors. So if you see here, we women, we see a lot of shades, we see a lot of different I want to say types of colors and names, and we know what we are talking about when somebody mentioned these kind of colors. Men are more simple or simpler. They see fewer tones and fewer. For them, purple is not 6 types of purple. It's just purple in different ways, but purple. So this difference in perception actually can affect the communication in the future. And sometimes we lose a little patience trying to describe something that for us is logical, but not for everybody else. And in the other way around works the same way. The approach to solve a problem solving, and I'm not going to extend a lot on this in this slide because this is a very important point in the next one. Women feel, men are more pragmatic. Again, this is very related to the way we approach to problem solving. We are going to talk about more in the next slide about this. And again, I hate when people try to, group everyone in one box. And no, every rule has an exception, and many women can identify themselves in a different group of what I just described, as well as men. And that is okay, because that this is not engraved in a stone. This is, every rule has an exception. So this teacher told me, hey, Jen, you have to read John Gray's Mars and Venus Conversations, and men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and this and that. I know that this is very famous. And from there, there are some specific things that I like to rescue. And most of all, because they are facts. They are our chemistry, our biology. And I am an engineer, so I'm not an expert here. I'm just going to share with you the findings that I found very important, okay? So men, they have high levels of stress. That happens everywhere, correct? However, women tend to stress a lot more, and that's a fact. I mean, if I compare myself with my husband, yeah, I tend to stress a lot more. Again, every rule has an exception, but it tends to happen. Now, how we show the stress, that's different, because many people show the stress by trying to do things, by eating, by yelling, or by doing nothing and just freaking out. I don't know. Many people have different ways to show to react to the stress. Now, what happened? The testosterone in men, the testosterone is an hormone. Is biological, and this is the same one that, for example, help the men to do the fat distribution or build the muscles, or even this supports or help to the sex drive and different things. But also the stress, as the testosterone, as it goes high, it helps them coping with the stress. The stress go low. So that's important to understand. Now, in the other hand, we have women with oxytocin. So the oxytocin is as well something that acts in the organism of the person, of the body. It is the one that helps with the childbirth, with the lactation. This is something that, again, this is a fact. This is something we have. And this oxytocin, as well as it increases, it reduces the stress. So, for example, when a woman is hugged, the oxytocin goes up. Now, on the other hand, when the testosterone, how the men can increase the testosterone is also the one that when they are ready to fight, goes up. So, for example, when the men feels useful, the testosterone is going to go high. So whenever they have, and that's why I was saying before, women feel and the men, they act, and it is because the men would like to increase the testosterone. He needs to feel useful. He needs to get busy on the problem, while the woman, she needs to feel, and she needs that oxytocin to go up. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about this in the next slide, in the next bullets. And it's, again, Men are going to try to look for solutions to the problems, feel useful, and women would like to look for communication. So that's why in a team or in a discussion or different things, women would like to understand first what happened. And it is not because women would like to poke, but for us, communication, it's important because it helps to our body to build up the oxytocin, to feel valued, to feel, to feel again, and our stress levels are going to be reduced. Now, sometimes men do not want to communicate. Why? Because they want to jump into action. Why? Because they're looking for solutions. They want to feel useful. Their testosterone is going to be high. So we need to find the balance between those two, communicate and jump into action for these to flow. Okay? Okay. Again, the men are inspired when they feel useful, and the women are inspired when they feel loved. And another thing that happens, and is, since they want to jump into action, men tend to like to work on their own, to take risk, to not overthink things. Women, and this is there comes the maternal instinct. We're more cooperative, more team players. So what happened is we want to embrace everybody. We want to make them make everybody part of the solution. So that's a thing that happens. And a lot of times the men, they are not trying to work on their own or take risks just because, but again, because they are trying to be useful and they are trying to jump into the solution. Okay. And because of that, they can they can look after himself more than after others. Again, there are many exceptions to the rule, and women take to look after others. There's another thing that really chips in here, and is when we were in the caverns back in the years, men had to look for themselves because they wanted to survive, to come back to his family with food or with whatever, correct? That naturally. And women had to look for others because she had to look for the family. So it is also something that is in our nature from many years before, that we just need to find a way to make it balanced and collaborative for a team. Okay, now that's nature. Now we have biases, because there are biases. So what I'm trying to say here is we are not only different because of our nature, we are also different because of our perception of each other, okay? So, for example, if we are going to assign tasks depending on the gender, in the labs, in the engineering labs, how many times women were the ones in charge of the reports, of the lab reports? Many. We tend to be noticed as the one that are going to take notes or bring refreshments. And in the other side of the coin, and other face of the coin, then we have men that are supposed the ones that move the boxes. So again, biases are also there. For example, in my case, in my personal case, I dislike when they use terms. So for example, instead of call me driven, they would call me bossy. If I were a guy, maybe with these same characteristics, I would have be called driven nowadays. And there comes a quote from Sheryl Sandberg, that is a Facebook COO. And if you don't know, she has this Lean In organization that is for women. Is really good. And she has this quote: I want every little girl who's been told she is bossy to be told she has leadership skills. If I had a penny for every time that I was called bossy when I was a little girl, but I had the blessing to have parents that were telling me, no, you're a leader. They have to deal with that. And I think that compensates a lot. There are other biases, like maternity. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people saying, oh, I wouldn't hire her because Eventually, she's going to get pregnant and I have to give her some time off. My God, that is not that in nature. That is a bias. And actually, I am one of those that think that there should be paternity leave as well, because it is important that both parents are in contact with the kid. But again, those are biases. So another question, and just for you to think about it, and is, are we getting the best out of our difference, or are we focusing on biases? And this is in your team. Are we actually understanding that we are different just because we are naturally different, or are we focusing on the biases, on, oh, I think she's this, or I think he is that? And at some point in the teams, we need to focus on our differences and not the biases, to embrace this diversity and make it work for the best. So let us embrace the differences. What happens when we do that? First of all, it improves the organizational performance. Why? Everybody feels valued. If everybody feels valued, everybody's going to give you the 100%. It is true. If you feel that what you are doing is making a difference, but it is also acknowledged, you're going to give your best. Now, wider market and customer understanding, and there is a slide later, the next one that I'm going to show. So I'm going to leave this for later. Talent acquisition and retention increases. Do you know how many times I've heard people from human resources saying, we are always looking for talents for our company? And that's true. Talent is a resource that is highly valuable, and you need to know that. And if you maybe focus on the biases and not on the differences and what they can bring to the table, then maybe you are missing people that actually can give you a really good input for your team and for your company. And then again, if you focus more on the biases than on the differences, then people will not feel valued, and they will leave the company or leave the team or will not give you their best. So that's why it's important. The company's reputation will improve. This is a fact. And not only that, nowadays, the millennials, and I'm an elder millennial, but still, we really take care of that. We really consider that. We want to work with a company that actually embraces differences, that has a good diversity and inclusion program, or not necessarily a program, but at least culture. So yes, the company's reputation will improve just because of that. The better performance and higher motivation, I already talked about this before, but again, if you feel valued, you are going to give your 100%. That's a fact. And society sustainability. And this may sound a little me leaning to the balance of women, but it is the same that when you feed a girl, or when you teach a girl, you're teaching a community. You're feeding a community, because we, again, this maternal instinct, we tend to group people, to take care of others, so we can make a different community. But also, the society is going to get to be really impacted by this. Give me just a second, that I'm having a little echo here. Okay. So coming back to, remember that I told you that wider market and customers understanding, and I was going to talk about this in this slide. So a couple days ago, I had the pleasure to see Kathy Land's presentation in an ILS. Kathy Land is our chair, IEEE chair for next year. She's an amazing woman, and every time I hear her is a learning moment, correct? So she was sharing this story, and I was like, I have to include this in the Turkey presentation. The airbags. The airbags were, at the beginning, designed for men. They were not designed for kids, for children, or for women. So their purpose, that is to avoid your injuries in a crash, but also to not injure you, may not have been as effective for women and children, just because they didn't have people to give this feedback in the team. So when a woman was integrated in the team, these kind of needs from the customer were considered, and now we have different designs that are good for different people in the car. So this is really full of impact, and I really think this shows how by not having this diversity, you are not really having an understanding of the customer needs and the market needs. If you are an entrepreneur, or if you are working in a company, you need to at some point you have to do a market research. You have to understand what your customer needs. And really, if you don't have this diversity included, you will be neglecting people. You will be neglecting a powerful part of the market, and you don't want to do that. Okay. Moving forward, what we don't want to do? What do we don't? We want to embrace differences. What is that? What we won't do? We don't want to do. The first one is when we don't embrace the diversity, the communication may be challenging. And if you have a diverse team and you don't want to embrace that differences, you are not going to have a fluent communication with your teammates. That's a fact. It may create a tense work environment. There can be crashes of opinions without an empathy, without an openness to understand the other's point of view. So many things can happen. There are careers where men are also discriminated. So here I would like to call for the balance, because yes, there are careers when they are also discriminated, and that's where we have to find the balance here. Incompetent employees can be promoted, and this is supported by metrics, and it can also affect the metrics of the company. It is because you're not considering the best profile, just because you're not embracing the diversity. And the profitability of the companies can be affected. First of all, the payment. You may be paying for somebody that is not giving you the results that you are that you are looking for. And then the learning curve, because if you are not considering the people with the right profile, with the right skills, then you have to teach these to the ones that maybe doesn't have the right skills for the job. And these will impact the investment of the company in these research. So I did a little research in my class. The sample is really small, so don't take this seriously. But at least it gives us a little bit of the perception that is out there. So the first one is, do you think gender differences in the workplace is a matter of perception? And 71% answered maybe, and then answer no, and then 29% answered yes. So yes, many people think that there is perception involved and not really a situation happening. Would you agree that there are jobs that certain gender may not be able to perform? And here we have a mix a little bit, but yes was the 43%, and maybe it's not a specific job, but it's how are we trained and the skills we have. Again, not really trying to give opinions here, just to show you some of the information that I found outside. Do you think there are biological differences between genders that determine the way we solve problems? So 43% answer maybe. And again, this is not something that everybody knows about, the biological differences that actually impact the way we solve problems. Would you prefer a male leader at your workplace? And 57% reply, I don't know. For me, that is like, maybe, but I don't want to say. But again, 43% said no. And here I would like just to make a pause and share with you, why is it important to talk about this? So many people think that talking about diversity is a little blah, a little boring. But we do need to talk about these kind of topics to make sure that we are part of the change, that we are part of the improvement, the continued improvement of our companies, of our teams, of our society. And because this is not over, it is maybe improving, but these are many cases that have been throughout the years. So the first discrimination case that was actually a case in a court was in 1948. And after that, many years, another and another and another. And I'm not talking about small companies. I'm talking about companies you may have heard of. And I'm not trying to, I don't know, make a big deal out of this or attack any of these companies whatsoever. Because many times it's not the company culture. Many times it's an employee within a company that is not identifying with this culture. And then we need to make this something we discuss and we talk about. So this is actually something that is that permeates the culture of the society and the companies. I'm sure that if I look for something here for 2020, I'm going to find it. Most of all, because during 2020, because of the pandemic, and there are studies about this. The other day, I attended to a presentation that Jennifer Blaine, a member of the WIE committee, gave in my section, and she was talking about how the pandemic affected and that gap that we have between male and women in the, for example, academia world, the publications and everything. We were narrowing it, and with the pandemic, it started to spread again. And it is because we do have a lot of compromises and a lot of commitment with the kids, the children, and with the homeschooling and everything. This balance again turned to the other side, and this gap is expanding again. So I'm sure that for 2020, I'm going to find something related to this, but I just didn't do the research, the particular research. We do have different challenges, and this is something I wanted to include it because it is a fact. We have an equal pay. The payment gap is something that is a reality that is everywhere, and we need to understand that we should assign payments based on what I'm bringing to the table, the skills that I have, what the difference and the value that I have in the team, and not because of a race or a gender. There are many cases of sexual harassment, for example, in the jobs or in the workplace, and it is basically more linked to the sexual harassment against women more than men, although men cases exist, and we need to acknowledge them as well and not ignore them, because that is not fair either and not good for the team. There are races, and I've always had this joke. It is different to be a woman in the industry world. Try to be a woman being Latina or being Black or being of another race, any other race. I'm talking to Turkey. I'm sure that many people here has another race and know is of another race and know about this. And the last one is less opportunities. And sometimes we don't get as much exposure or as much opportunities than maybe the males will have. Another thing that, and I've been trying to promote a lot in my presentations, is the difference between mentors and sponsors. So I learned about these hearing a podcast that Harvard Business Review has, and is Women at Work. Really good podcast if you want to look for that in wherever you listen to your podcasts. And they were talking about the difference between the mentors and the sponsors. And the mentors are the ones that, yes, they support you with some guidance and they give you some feedback, and so important for you to improve and to become a better professional, a better person, a better part of the society, correct? I value my mentors, and I do have mentors in my life. Now, the sponsors are the ones that, besides doing this, they give you the opportunity. So you need to grow in your company. Here is a project that will give you visibility within the company. You want to be respected part of this team. Perfect. Here is a project that is going to help you with they give you the opportunity to show your talents, not only the advice to develop those talents. And that for me makes a huge difference. I have a lot of mentors. I have very few sponsors. So it's really important that we also create this culture of giving opportunities regardless the gender. Good intentions should run into concrete actions. And that's because this topic has been visited for many years, correct? So now we need really to make a difference. For example, the companies acknowledges the situation and are really willing to work on it. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're creating the culture in your company, please take this into action. Make this part of your culture. And is embrace the diversity, not only in genders, but in many different aspects of a human life. Groups within companies that support women's professional development. I have the pleasure to work in a company that has it. And to be honest with you, it's been tremendous since I joined this group. I've grown a lot. I've learned how to talk to my peers about situations, or to look for opportunities within the company, or try to discuss new things with your management. It's really important to create this collaborative environment. And I'm talking about women here because, of course, this is a Women in Engineering event, but this applies to many things. And again, you need to make this part of your culture. This cannot be a program. This cannot be a guideline. This should permeate the culture of the company. This is going to create a difference, or make a difference in the community in the future. I'm going to share this video with you. I love it. This is one of my favorite videos. The link is in the last slide of this presentation if you want to share it later. And just enjoy this a little bit. Here it comes.
It's easy to put people in boxes. There's us, and there's them. The high earners, and those just getting by. Those we trust, and those we try to avoid. There's the new Danes, and those who've always been here. The people from the countryside, and those who've never seen a cow. The religious, and the self-confident. There are those we share something with, and those we don't share anything with.
Velkommen. Jeg kommer til at stille jer nogle spørgsmål i dag. Nogle af dem kan godt være lidt personlige, men jeg håber, I vil svare ærligt på dem. Hvem herinde i rummet var klassens klovn? Hvem er bonusforældre?
And then suddenly, there's us. We who believe in life after death. We who've seen UFOs. And all of us who love to dance. We who've been bullied. And we who've bullied others. And then there's us, the lucky ones who've had sex this past week. We who are broken-hearted. We who are madly in love. We who feel lonely. We who are bisexual, and we who acknowledge the courage of others. We who have found the meaning of life, and we who have saved lives. And then there's all of us who just love Denmark. So maybe there's more that brings us together than we think. TV2 Denmark, all that we share.
So it's a very emotional, amazing video, but it shows how we have more in common that whatever is evident in our differences, and if we try to embrace those differences instead of focusing on how the biases are affecting all the teams and the possible communication in the future, this can make a big impact. And a good way to embrace differences is by finding what is that we have in common. That is so much. Coming back to Mulan, because I love Mulan. One thing that I loved about this movie as well is who recognized first Mulan's value. And it was in the army, and it was her peers. Her peers were the ones that spoke, that took the opportunity or the risk and say, hey, she's valuable to the team. So you can embrace differences and you can make a difference in this diversity and inclusion move, not only by being the owner of a company or by being the manager of a company or the boss. You can be this person that makes a difference just by acknowledging your peer, by understand that together you go farther than just alone. This is my last slide, and this is just for you to go home thinking about this. People really think that they are doing their part to support women's professional development. And I just wanted to ask, are you? And if so, can you, in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, take a Post-it and write 3 things that you have done to make this happen? The other thing is this graph. It was powerful for me as well, and is white women. It's race and gender in one graph. So if you see white men is in the top left, here it is, then men of color, then women of color, and then white women. So you can see how in the entry level, how it is changing in the race to the C-suite. If you see here, the white men, in the entry level, they are less, but as they move forward to the C-suite, you can see that the cone expands. In the case of the men of color, they are less at the entry level, and as they go to the C-suite, the cone starts to narrow a little bit. But look at the pattern or how this happens with women. So white women, we have, yes, some at the entry level, and then the cone starts to get narrowed, but not as dramatically as it happens with women of color. So this is important for me. It was very powerful and, I don't know, shocking a little bit. And the last one is a final quote, and it's from Drew Gilpin, the president of Harvard University. And she said, "I am not the woman president of Harvard. I am the president of Harvard." This is powerful because it is indeed, you are recognizing her as a professional, not just because she has a different gender than you. So this is important. And Simai, this is what I had today to share with you. The next one is just some references in case you want to access to some of this information. Let me just stop sharing the screen.
Jennifer, that was really insightful and impactful presentation, and lots of takeaways from your speech. Thank you so much for just this sharing this all of these thoughts and also powerful information inside. So it actually gives us that impression that we have the initiative to change. So that's why actually, like in our work environment and also, like in our association and everywhere, we're trying to take our own initiative to make it happen and make that impact. So, well, actually, would like to ask you your opinion one specific question. Like after all the 2020 and all the conditions. So, what do you think about 2021 in terms of inequality? Like you addressed a lot of insights from the unequal payments, less opportunities, and glass ceiling cases and racism and so on. So we know like 2021 will bring its own challenges after 2020 and also the opportunities. I mean, like because we are the ones that we see those challenges as opportunity to make another impact for our environment, and we do that. So how do you see the challenges and how to take initiative and how to create an impact on 2021 in specific in 2021?
So one of the things that happened during 2020, unfortunately, is that many people were dismissed from their jobs. Many people were opened, for example, and this is not unfortunate. This one is a little more fair. I want to say way to balance things, but many people had to retire, even if they could still work and had the knowledge and everything. They had to retire because the companies, they had to compensate their costs to be able to operate. Correct. So what happened is a company cannot operate in the same way with less human resources forever. That just cannot happen. If they are going to keep increasing their sales, increasing their impact, they will need hands. So I foresee in 2021 the rehiring of many people. There will be many opportunities to apply for new challenges. So one thing that I would suggest is, if you want to look for a new opportunity, go for it. This is the moment. Go and update your LinkedIn profile, apply to the different jobs, look for the companies that you like, and go and see if they have jobs opened and move forward. Companies are taking diversity and inclusion in a much serious way than before. The second thing that you want to do is, if you are hiring, you will get a lot of people with tremendous profiles, tremendous skills. Open your mind about this and try to get this diversity to the next level. But yeah, after this terrible situation that we had during the 2020, I can tell you many opportunities will be opening in 2021.
That gives us a lot of hope, and thank you so much. Like actually, we also need to keep this hope and keep doing our job to make that impact, right? So exactly. That's why we're taking.
And the other thing is, many challenges came with this pandemic, and as well many initiatives. I love how many entrepreneurship events and entrepreneurs came alive and had new opportunities. Look for those new opportunities that are coming, and if you are one of those that wants to be the owner of his company or her company and haven't made this decision, maybe right now you are finding the new niches, the new opportunities to make it happen.
Absolutely. So that actually reminds us, actually, we are the one who will change it. And one of my favorite saying is like, life starts when you go out of your comfort zone. Somehow 2020, like we probably like grow a lot when we go out of our comfort zones, but in 2020, so that was a lot of opportunity for many of us if we are able to see it positively. So we had to go out of our comfort zone, and this is an opportunity to grow.
And if you didn't learn that during the 2020, my friend, I think you're not going to learn it ever. because everybody had to step out the comfort zone in the 2020. It's not comfortable to wear masks all the time. It's not comfortable to be cleaning your hands with the antibacterial all the time. It's not comfortable to try to work from home when you are not used to. I mean, there were so many challenges, and if you didn't learn how to step out the comfort zone, how to have empathy for the other, I mean, my friend, I'm sorry, go to a summer camp or something like that. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time, for your support, sharing your knowledge and inspiring all of us here during this presentation. It's always amazing to hear from you. I would like to ask your final comments and advices before we close the session.
Maybe my final comments or maybe my final advice is many things are not natural. Many things you need to do a lot of effort to make them happy, make them happen. What I would suggest is think about what is it that actually represents to you a challenge, that it doesn't come natural, and think about ways to cope that and to work on that. Because, I mean, society needs to evolve, and it evolves with us. We are the ones that make the difference. So if you feel that it's not that easy for you to work with other women, and I can tell you, I've heard this from women more times, even more times than from men, a lot. And it's, oh no, I work better with men than with women. And maybe in the engineering, well, I didn't have a lot of a big sample of women in my classroom, but it happened a lot. So one thing is work on that. We can all learn, and we can all overcome these things that are not natural for us. And the second thing that I could tell you is enjoy the Christmas, enjoy the seasons. I don't know, I know not everybody is Christian here, but Christmas is something that globally is a joyful time. Enjoy that one, no matter which is your religion, just embrace that the 2020 is finishing. It was a challenging year, and look for your new opportunities for the 2021. Be ready, work on your skills, work on your CVs, work on your companies, your initiatives, if you're an entrepreneur, in your initiatives, and make it happen for 2021. It is going to be a much better year than 2020.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Oh, Jennifer, it was really, really great to have you here. So you're an inspiring woman, and thank you for empowering all of us here in this session. And on behalf of Turkey section, I would like to thank a lot for you.
No, thank you for your invitation.
Thank you so much. And this is the end of the session. Before closing, I would like to remind, so tomorrow we have the final day, and we have one more session today and one more networking event. So the schedule is out on the website, and also you can find out from different channels. And we will be happy to meet with you in next session, which will start in 7 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. And if you missed any part of this presentation, it will be live. So feel free to share and let the others to get inspired from Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.